Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric and Matt, and this is Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit, your beacon of freedom and the American way of life. Tune in every Mondays for a new episode as we dive into the world of liberty and what makes our country great. All right, everybody, welcome back. This is Eric and Matt here with LLP, and I hope everyone has had a wonderful week. LLP is your home for all things normal and sane in a world gone completely mad down the crapper. And I tell you, sometimes I wonder if we're on that perpetual downward spiral ourselves. But here we are coming back every week and trying to keep the world a sane and safe place. And welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back. In a handbasket. That's what they say.
Yeah, that's what they say. And sometimes I wonder if we're the ones holding the handbasket for that matter. But, the world's a crazy place sometimes. But here we are. And, we're not going to let it get us down. We're going to keep things rolling in the way that we know how to do, boys and girls. And today's episode is going to be called The World Police. And I wonder who we're going to be talking about there. Who is the world police? Well, I think we all can definitely point to the United States as being the world police. And we're going to talk about some things that are going to probably upset some people. Today's episode is probably going to ruffle some feathers, and that's fine. Consider the feathers ruffled, because we're just going to go ahead and pre-ruffle them, because just go on and get yourself, grab a coffee, go punch a bag, go hug a tree, whatever you have to do to soothe yourself, to consider those feathers pre-ruffled, because here we are. It's been a great week. Things are coming along great. And we're going to discuss this concept of the world police. And there's a lot of things we want to go over in today's episode. Before we do, I would like to thank our friends at Allegiance Gold. Have you ever noticed how gold doesn't get much airtime until the system starts to shake? Well, here's what nobody's talking about. Starting July 1st, Basel III global banking rules classify gold as a Tier 1 asset, the same level as cash or U.S. Treasuries. This is huge. It means that central banks will now treat gold as the highest quality form of capital. They're not doing this for fun. They're preparing for something. If gold is good enough for the world's most powerful banks and governments, why wouldn't it be good enough to protect your retirement? This may be the moment we've all been waiting for. Gold could reach levels we've never seen before. Whether you got $5,000 or $5 million to safeguard, now is the time to act. I've seen plenty of gold companies advertise and come and go, but I chose to partner with Allegiance Gold because they actually care. They care about their pricing, about integrity, and about doing the right thing by their clients. They make it simple to move part of your 401k, your IRA, or savings into real physical gold and silver. As a veteran, you may even qualify for up to $5,000 in free silver. Call 844-790-9191 or visit allegiancegold.com/veterans. That's 790-9191 or allegiancegold.com/veterans. It's smart, secure, and simple. Call today. Big thanks to Allegiance Gold for supporting our efforts here on LLP. And our podcast has been going for quite a while. I've been really excited to see how things have gone, and we've done a lot of random stuff over the years with this podcast, and I'm glad to see that we were able to get it going again and everything.
And it's been fun. It gives us, I know that our viewers have been great, and some of you guys understand that it's a podcast and it goes off the rails because we're talking about what we want to talk about. Sure, the subject in the title is something that we're going to talk about in this show, but it's not the only thing we talk about in this show. So we appreciate you guys understanding and coming along for the ride. Eric and I, sometimes we go off the rails and we have some pretty outlandish thoughts and ideas.
One thing I want to mention as well, for some of you that might be more time sensitive on the amount of attention span you may have for a podcast, we do offer chapters down in the description box. So if you're following us on Iraq Veteran 8888 on the YouTube channel, you can go down in the description box and find convenient skip to points that break down all the different subjects that we might talk about in today's episode into convenient structure that allows you to skip straight to what you want to hear about, and you can skip over what you don't. All right? Very convenient. All for your convenience and your skipping ability. Okay? So we're going to talk about the world police. And I know we mentioned that means the U.S. And the U.S. has seemed to be this sort of quasi-world police environment, and it hasn't always been that way. I know in recent talks on, the mainstream media, mainstream news, and really just the talk of society, especially in the Republican Party, they've been talking about the Barbary Pirates. You keep hearing that brought up. Oh, well, we didn't have a congressional approval to go attack the Barbary Pirates. And why does that keep getting brought up? That's because we engage in a lot of worldwide fuckery. Quite simply, I don't know a better word to use. I mean, we are involved in a lot of stuff all around the world, and we topple governments, we support certain governments. We are involved in a lot of clandestine stuff behind the scenes that a lot of people are not going to always know about. Right? We have many a hand in many a pot in many a place. Some places you probably never even heard of before, and to some end goal that you may not even know we're involved in. And that's the scariness of it, is the totality that our tentacles permeate throughout the world, the society of the world, and that, we are involved in many a thing. And our founding fathers believed, strongly in isolation. They believed in, do business with the outside world, do business with them. Okay, yes, if there's some mutually beneficial way that we can benefit from each other, engage in business, engage in commerce, engage in business, but do not engage in the affairs of the outside world. Our founding fathers, George Washington believed strongly that we should never be involved in the affairs of the outside world, only do business, but politically isolate ourselves. And by gosh, we're in a perfect position to isolate ourselves. Geographically, the United States is a very removed place. Militarily, it is a very difficult place to attack, right? We have isolation as our biggest defense, right? The people who would harm us, they're going to have to cross a lot of water to get here, okay? It's not easy to attack us on land, all right? So when you look at America as whether it's a social construct, whether it's a government, whether it's a society, whether it's a nation, no matter how you look at America as this sort of, experiment, if you will, we've always been called a great experiment. No matter how you look at that experiment, we are geographically isolated from many parts of the world. So if we are involved in something going on around the world, it's because we want to be. Let's lay that groundwork down. If we're involved in something in the Middle East, or we're involved in Israel or Ukraine or whatever's going on in some dark corner of the world, it's because we want to be involved. It's because we choose to be involved. It's because there's some greater play that maybe the greater part of society may not know exactly what play is being made, in what way, and to benefit whom. We don't have all the information at all times. So we don't know what the greater chessboard is, or how the pieces are being moved across that chessboard. There are many mill bloggers and writers and pundits out there who study a lot of the things that is going on with U.S. foreign policy. And some of these people have some very good theories about what the overall play may really be, based on troop movements, based on, what's going on economically, what's going on with, minor little skirmishes and trade wars, or what's going on with the greater foreign policy, such as proxies. Ukraine is a proxy. We are not directly fighting Russia, but we are funding the Ukrainians who are fighting the Russians, right? Israel is a proxy. We may not have troops on the ground necessarily engaging in combat as such as the Israelis may be doing, but we are funding the Israelis. So it is a proxy. So America has become a fighter of proxy wars, a fighter of literal wars. We've been in war for, the last, 150 years or something crazy, maybe more, right? So we've perpetually been in war. We've perpetually been in everybody's business. We've perpetually been toppling governments and propping up governments for as long as many of our generations can remember. And I guess that's the crux of today's show, Matt, is to discuss these things in greater detail. What does it mean moving forward? What do we stand to gain? What do we stand to lose? What do future generations have at stake? Is there some benefits from it? Are there any positives? Are there negatives? These are the answers. that we want to discern in today's show. Now, I'm not a geopolitical expert. I'm not an economist. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a legal authority of any type. I'm just a guy with a damn opinion. And I'm sure many of you are too. And Matt is too. So we're here to lay down some damn opinions. What do you think?
I mean, I am no foreign policy expert. What I will say, and I'm not going to pretend to be, what I will say is that a lot of this, came from initially all the way back as far as Vietnam, like the Vietnam War is what I meant. So the only reason we got involved in that was because of one thing, and that was communism. We were so scared of communism that America decided that that's when they had to kind of intervene in other countries' wars, right? So it was, well, let me take that. I apologize. I greatly apologize because excuse me, I did what everybody else. Whoa. Okay. I did what everybody else did, and they forgot about the Korean War. So the Korean War in the 50s was about communism. They didn't want the North to take over the South. So America got involved in that war. They prevented communism from taking over Korea, and they drew the 38th parallel, which is where you see the DMZ. And now you have the Republic of Korea, which is South Korea, flourishing, and you have the democratic people of, North Korea or whatever, and it's like lights out. If you ever see it at night, it's just, there's no lights there.
Definitely a lot of suffering.
Yes. So that was, they prevented communism from taking over there. Then fast forward to Vietnam, same thing. They didn't want communism to win in Vietnam, which it did. It took over, and now that it is what it is. So that was kind of where that whole America policing the world came into play. And then fast forward to the US during World War II. Yes, Japan brought us into the war, but the reason that America ultimately also decided to get in the war because they saw that communism and the whole like Nazi party thing was coming into the US, where you had people on the corners of the streets singing the praises of like communism and how socialism is good and all that. So then you have Cuba. America got involved with the Bay of Pigs, with the rebellion in Cuba. They're trying to prevent communism because it was right there on the doorsteps of Florida. So as we progress through time, you can see that America started getting involved in the world politics because of one thing, which was communism. Now it is not as less about communism, even though it's still a popular thing here in the US amongst the younger generation. Now it's more economic. So then it turns into, America is paying all of these other countries money. So you will see it when you look at like the ledgers. America is giving countries in Africa X amount of dollars for whatever it is that they want. It might look like that's just money for them to do projects, but that is money that we're paying them to be our friends. It's the equivalent of paying your friends to hang out with you. And that's because if America doesn't pay them money, Russia and China will pay them money. And then they're going to have the ear of that country.
Good point.
And that's what it comes down to. When you look at all of this, slush fund money going out to these countries, that's what it is. We're paying them so that the other countries don't pay them, and they're taking our money. But let's look at, one of the big things is you mentioned isolationism. Like America very much was a country that was, built on isolationism. They come here, you couldn't get to us. We're separated by 2 oceans on each side. And then you have a huge landmass up north, which is Canada, and then Central America coming up from Central America. The whole thing happened because America started to say, hey, we need to be more helpful with our resources. We're a country of bounty. Now we have a tremendous amount of resources, and we need to be tolerant. So between those two things, being helpful with our resources and being tolerant, we are no longer an isolationist country. And now we're in a situation where we've become too helpful. We've become helpful to a fault. Where now I don't think that America should be the world police. I think we should just mind our own business for the most part, unless it directly pertains to us. But now we've gotten to the point where we have so many fingers, in the pie that we can't do anything about it.
I think it's interesting that you bring up communism because it really is such a turning point for American foreign policy. Is, we were really worried about communism spreading and communism becoming, a much more generally and socially accepted idea, not only here, but around the world. I mean, so it's always been this kind of battle between two very different political ideologies, whereby here, we engage in capitalism. And there are many that would claim that here it's more like crony capitalism. And again, I'm no economist now. We're going from world policy and geopolitics to, monetary policy or economics, if you will. But, we have always complained about the Russian oligarchs and how they a small group of people has so much control over vast swaths of the Russian military complex, military industrial complex, the Russian economic complex, Russian foreign policy. And these small groups of people, these oligarchs, are essentially pulling the strings on many, many, many things, which make them extremely wealthy. They make a ton of money, and a small group of people have a very indiscriminate amount of control against a huge area of the Russian economy and even foreign policy, right? So one could say that America is really no different. I mean, we have these swaths of essentially oligarchs that have this large control over huge areas of Congress, right? They have tons of lobbying dollars. They represent very large and successful business endeavors, such as, let's say, Silicon Valley and big tech, right? You've got, all of these different industries which funnel money into these PACs that essentially buy off our politicians and buy off their influence and lend their ear. And if that's not an oligarch, I don't know what is. If someone who is extremely wealthy and successful in business, and they can control huge, areas of the American foreign policy based on the amount of money that they funnel through. Now, you look at AIPAC, and AIPAC has a lot of money that they're funneling through to represent, essentially Israeli interests in the American government. And, they own Democrat, Republicans alike. And if you look at the amount of, influence that they have within the American political machine, I mean, they own 80% of Congress between Republicans and Democrats. It's some 80% or more that have taken AIPAC donations.
Probably more than that.
And maybe even more than that. So, look, it's not to say that a PAC or something is an issue to, generate money to, support whatever undertaking. Like we do the same thing in the gun world, right? Like, we send lobbyists to Washington to lobby on behalf of gun owners, right? That's what a gun lobby is. NRA and GOA and all of it. We're all part of the gun lobby. Mm-hmm. We go and we discuss things with Congress, and we funnel money into their projects to help them get elected. And what are you doing? Yeah, you're essentially kind of buying their support a little bit. But of course, you vet those people and you make sure they actually do support you before you go throwing money towards a campaign to help them. That's the idea.
That's the idea.
Now, what about Israel? Is it okay for a foreign government to have so much control over our foreign policy, essentially? One country, a small country, to have all that influence and to funnel all that money to our political machine. And I think that's where a lot of danger comes into place, where, are we unlike the Russian oligarchs in that, okay, yeah, a few special interest groups that have tons of money are essentially telling your government what time it is, telling them what they're going to be involved in, what they're not. Israel has become our gateway to playing around in the Middle East. And really at the end of the day, Matt, that's what it comes down to. Israel is our proxy to be able to play screwy games in the Middle East and mess with whoever we want to mess with, and we can say, oh, it wasn't us, it was Israel. So one may say, well, Israel's using us. One may say we're using Israel, or maybe it's just a collective, cooperative thing that both governments are like, hey, you scratch our back, we scratch yours. But I think when you look at it pragmatically and realistically, we have this view that Israel is using us, but I think we're probably using them more than they're using us.
I think it goes.
If the goal is to mess around in the Middle East,
I think it goes both ways, because I distinctly remember this when we were running Ballistic Ink. We made a shirt off of this, and this had to have been like 5 years ago. And this isn't by any means a episode about Israel, because we're going to move on. But
yeah, we are.
Israel went into Syria and attacked the dam in Syria, and this was like 5 years ago. They did like a specific airstrike on it, and I remember that was years and years ago. And then they just attacked a Hamas leader inside Qatar. So this happened like either today or yesterday, where they flew a sortie and attacked a Hamas leader inside of Qatar, which is a separate country. And then what other country do you know that can blatantly just attack other countries with military force at will and nothing happen? I can't name a single country that would be able to get away with that without America's blessing. Meaning, because America, the world police, doesn't hold them accountable for that or doesn't say anything, the rest of the world just falls in line.
Yeah. It's like we're the only people that would ever hold them accountable if we didn't like it.
Exactly.
And look at that situation with Iran. They sent that bunker buster over there and blew up that a uranium enrichment facility, or something to do with their nuclear program, whether it was weapons manufacturing or uranium enrichment, whatever it was. They attacked it and they blew it up. And what did Iran do?
Yeah.
They were like, okay, you got me. Like, they didn't do anything. Well, what can they do?
Yep.
And I think when you look at our monetary system, the dollar, I call it the war dollar, the war buck. I mean, when you look at war bucks, like our ability to carry out violence in all corners of the world on demand at any time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, within 24 to 72 hours. We are mission capable worldwide in any corner of the world. Give us 3 days and we'll be there to kill you. That is what the dollar is. The dollar is the violence mechanism. The dollar is backed up by our ability to carry out violence, period. I mean, we've been off the gold standard forever. That gold, they keep talking about wanting to audit the Federal Reserve and audit, go in Fort Knox and count the gold, whatever. I guarantee that gold's been long gone.
Oh, yeah.
This ain't about the gold anymore. This isn't about some physical asset backing the money up, which then limits its value. They just print it like paper. They just print it. It's really based on our ability to carry out violence around the world. That's what it comes down to. To say we're the world police, I mean, yeah, we are the world police depending on who is going to be the recipient of that policing. Now, to some people, we're just the world tyrants. Like, we're going to come in and blow up your uranium enrichment facility. I mean, okay, to be pragmatic here, to be fair, was Iran working on a nuclear weapon? Maybe. Maybe they were. Maybe they weren't. We know what we know, and we don't know what we don't know. We have no idea what they know. We're never going to know all of the information that U.S. intelligence has. Maybe they knew that there was actually some weapons grade enrichment being done for the fissile materials required to make some sort of bomb or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe they knew it was just for power, nothing more, just for, to generate electricity and nothing more. So everyone thinks, oh, they hear uranium enrichment, or they hear whatever, fissile materials, or they hear all this, whatever, labs that are required to produce this stuff, right? Whatever it may be for the purposes. But they always associate it with weaponry instead of going, well, wait a minute, nuclear is nuclear, right? Maybe they just had nuclear power. They're trying to, to make the citizens' lives better. Maybe not. Maybe it was weapons that they were trying to develop. But see, we'll never really know the truth. All we know is the outcome. We know that they blew the place to hell and back. Yeah, well, whatever they were doing, they ain't doing it no more. I promise you that.
Well, here's another like just devil's advocate here on that. Why is and I get why America would be worried about that. We definitely don't want countries that have terrorist organizations running free in them to have access to, nuclear weapons. But it doesn't seem like the countries other than Israel, which I understand that as well, around them were too concerned with them having nuclear weapons, because the chances of them using those nuclear weapons on countries that are bordering them or much closer to them is much higher than them being able to sneak a nuclear weapon into the US based on their limited technology. These are people that still drive around in 1984 Helix trucks that are shot to shit. I don't think they're going to be able to, easily get a nuclear weapon into the U.S. The chances are higher that they would use it on their side of the globe.
True.
So why aren't those countries doing what we did?
Yeah, and maybe it's their lack of ability to carry out such things. I mean, there's not very many militaries around the world that can fly a stealth bomber into your country undetected and drop a huge ass 5,000-pound bomb,
like 16
with precision. Multiple ones with precision, and leave without ever getting shot at. Who can do that? So again,
the world police
it's
can.
all the world police. But it's all about our ability to carry out violence without consequence. I mean, there are not very many militaries in the world that can really, truly stand up to us at a high level. Now, some would argue that China has a lot of men. Yeah, they do. They got a lot of military implements. Yeah, they do.
Mm-hmm.
But as Napoleon said, an army marches on its stomach. And yes, China has a lot of capability, but how are you going to get that capability from point A to point B? I mean, you got to get it there. In order to wage war, you have to get your troops there. Yeah. You have to physically get there. I mean, would China be a danger to us if they were where Canada was? Maybe. Yeah, there could be some ground assault, something like that. But they are so removed from us. And you got to think they already have a hard enough time feeding their own people in a lot of cases, right? And what a lot of people don't realize, and maybe I don't want to be off here, but China relies on us for a lot of food. We export a lot of food to various parts of the world, and China is a huge importer of American food.
Mm-hmm.
So when you kind of get away from the geopolitical, militaristic end of it and get more to just, hey, day to day, we have to survive, right? They rely on us for survival. So it's like, you don't want to bite the hand that feeds. If if Ukraine is the breadbasket of Europe and they're producing all of this, they're a huge farming industry in Ukraine, right? Now, granted, they're involved in a war, but I'm sure they're still growing food in certain places and things like that. But when you look at the overall economical, sort of implications that come from these wars and conflicts and the whole geopolitical struggle and pointing the finger at who is who, I mean, at the end of the day, we all have to eat and survive. We all need fuel. We all need oil. I mean, there's plenty of places still buying Russian oil, Russian gas. I mean, Germany buys it? Well, at least they were until that pipe got messed up. I don't know if they ever fixed that or not.
Yeah, they had no choice. The Nord Stream pipeline.
Yeah, the Nord Stream. So again, geopolitical situations also have to involve economical situations. The two go hand in hand. I mean, the U.S. might want to move microprocessor and microchip production, right? Microcomputer type production to the U.S. instead of having to worry about China overtaking Taiwan. And essentially, 90% of the world's microchip technology is produced there. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of that type of technology that might only be produced in one part of the world. And yeah, America may be thinking about it economically and go, well, do we really want to risk, a hostile country having, complete monopoly over that and essentially being able to charge what they want or just cut us off completely for some of this more high technology, type of things that we all have to have. Everyone around the world has to have. And that's why they've been talking about moving microprocessor technology to America for production purposes.
Well, that's also why America is, doing so much to protect Taiwan and Singapore, because while officially Taiwan is part of China, which they would respectably disagree with, they have their own saying of like Taiwan number one, which is kind of like a slap in the face to mainland China. America, a lot of our microprocessors and technology come from Taiwan and Singapore. So when you start looking at the whole world police aspect of it, those are the things that America has to put in place to try to, protect and regulate from, other countries like China. I will say that I truly believe that China is a paper tiger. They haven't fought any wars in the last 20 years, not of any significance. Imagine the US Army not being in war for the last 20 years and just training on base. Like, there's no way we would be at the level that the combat effectiveness that we're at right now. And I'll just put this in perspective for you guys. Russia, which is arguably one of the largest armies in the world, has been fighting Ukraine, albeit Ukraine has a ton of support, but just manpower, standing army manpower, it should not compare to Russia, man to man. Just, numbers to numbers, metrics. They've been at war for 4 years at least.
Well, I think some of this has been going on since 2016.
So
localized to like some small areres. But,
full on, like
the
combat
full on war has been like 4 years now.
So let's put this in perspective. 1991. America goes to war with Iraq. At the time, fourth largest army in the world. Fourth largest army in the world versus America, who has never fought in the Middle East. Got all of our logistics over there. Tanks, men, jets, whatever. We defeat the fourth largest army in the world in 72 hours. First time we've ever been to war in the Middle East at that level. 72 hours, entire countries in shambles.
Crazy, isn't it?
Like, we're just kicking ass, taking names. We run from Kuwait to Baghdad in 24 hours.
It's wild, isn't it?
5,500 tanks. So let's just run down the metrics of what we did in 72 hours. All right. 1 million standing army, 850,000 reservists, 5,500 tanks, air defense artillery, SAMs, and Scuds. 72 hours, done, taken out, running for the hills. All right. There's a reason America is the world police, because we have the ability to deploy, to fight, and win against much larger foes. They were a larger army than us at the time.
Logistics win wars.
Yes. So when you look at it, China never fought a war. It's a paper tiger. So I think where China has the power is the economic constraints. They're able to tighten the reins on the world economic front, meaning they have so much control over what's being imported, because China produces a lot, but they also they import just as much as any other country. So
if not more. And they import a lot of food.
Yes.
The oceans around China are void of life.
They're fishing,
overfished.
Yeah, they're fishing other countries, and there's like videos of them like running into like the Philippines waters and Japan and South Korea, just trying to fish as much as they can. But they hold the economic cards, because nobody really wants to not do business with China. America was really the first one to kind of step up and say, hey, we're going to put some tariffs on you guys. And for all intents and purposes, it seems to be working. Like they keep kind of putting off the stays of execution on these tariffs that are coming up. You know, Trump is like, oh, we're going to extend these tariffs, these non-tariffs for 90 days because we're getting what we want. Like we're kind of we're chiseling away at what we need. So as far as, you know, being the world police, I think that China's a paper tiger. I think if we can do more business with, say, well, here's another thing. Korea, Japan, and India, for the first time ever, are working together because, you know, I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with the news, but yesterday, the day before, there was a huge ICE raid in Georgia at a Hyundai dealership or a Hyundai plant, and like 450 people were detained. Many of those were South Koreans.
Oh boy.
So there's the South Korean government is a little upset with Georgia and the U.S. government for that. And do you know how that all started, Eric? Who called that raid in was a candidate running for Congress from Georgia.
Oh boy.
So it's a mess right now.
Yeah.
It's a mess. But what I will tell you is that, you know, that probably wasn't the right move to do.
Yeah. Yeah, that really didn't have the correct political wind in the sails that they thought it would.
Yeah, it pushed some countries a little bit farther away than we want.
So speaking of America as a world police type of entity, I kind of want to take a little bit of a moment to sort of create a scenario where, let's say we weren't, and let's say that there were a power vacuum that needed to be filled. We're going to discuss that a little bit. I think it'll be an interesting, sort of mental topic to go over here. Before we do, though, I want to thank our next sponsor on today's show, and that is our friends at My Patriot Supply. September is National Preparedness Month, so it's the perfect time to ask yourself some questions like, how much food do you have on hand for emergencies? How would you get clean water if the tap went dry tomorrow? What would you do if a storm knocked out the power for a week? If you're anything like me, there's some room for improvement on this stuff. Luckily, our friends at My Patriot Supply are making disaster preparedness easier and more affordable than ever by giving you over $1,500 worth of emergency food and preparedness gear for free. They just launched their Preparedness Month Mega Kit, and it includes a full year of emergency food, a water filtration system that can purify almost any water source, and a solar backup generator, plus a lot more. And here's the best part. If you go to mypatriotsupply.com/LLP, you can get 90 preparedness essentials totaling over $1,500 absolutely free. Head to mypatriotsupply.com/LLP for full details. That's mypatriotsupply.com/LLP. That's Lima Papa for more information. So get your National Preparedness Month on over at our friends at My Patriot Supply. So really cool deal there.
Yeah, I love
over 90
guys.
different items. That's very handy.
Yeah, it helps with the food fatigue if you ever need it, because nobody likes to eat the same thing over and over again.
So, world police. Let's say that America wasn't the world police. Who would be? Do you think that there's a vacuum that would be filled by some other world power? Or would it take time for another world power to come to the level that we are? Because really, we're the top dog. Like, no one has the ability to wage war and operate within the world sphere that we do, if you think about it.
Yep.
Now, sure, the Russians have some subs out there creeping around. Any modern country who has maybe a sub fleet, yeah, there's some submarines creeping around and close to us. You better believe that, But beyond, let's just say, snooping around, do they actually have the ability to project power?
No.
Around the world? I just don't think that answer is yes. I don't think there's any other country that has what we have in the way of our ability to project violence on every corner of the globe.
I mean, I'm an Army guy. I love the Army, but I will tell you, our ability to just wreak havoc and loiter in space is 100% like those super carriers, man. We have 10 or 11 super carriers. We have the most out of any country in the world. I think the country that has aircraft carriers at all have like 2 or 3, and we have 11.
And they're older,
and they're really old.
Yeah,
the ability to park an entire football field right off your country's coast with so much firepower that they could literally erase you off of the map, and you have 11 of those. That's your ability to just,
I wonder how hard those things are to sink, really.
With their carrier group, almost impossible, because they don't travel by themselves. They have an entire fleet. Yeah. They're protected like crazy.
I mean, surely those things are pretty well built. I mean, like, it would take some serious firepower to sink one of those things. Those things cost what, $1 trillion, something crazy. Like they're expensive to make.
It's like more than the GDP of half the world,
right?
And then you have submarines. Like, dude, I always thought it's like Australia. So this is the funny thing. There's a documentary about Australia, and you would think like, oh, they're a larger country, well developed, very like, first world, like a normal metropolitan city. They don't have any nuclear subs. They're still using. This is an island.
Diesel?
Yes, this is an island continent that doesn't have a navy, which is the craziest thing. They have a navy, but not. When you think Navy, like American Navy, it's just like massive. Diesel subs. They're buying our old decommissioned subs from the US for like 100 million, or it was like some absurd number. So we're teaching them how to use them, but it's our old nuclear subs.
Stuff that a modern sub can hear forever away, because those subs are loud.
So
and they're not as technologically capable, nowhere near. No. I mean, I'm sure that they could do some upgrading on some of the, navionics and, the navigation equipment, and maybe some of the weapons upgrades. I'm sure they could be upgraded some, but it's still a diesel sub.
Well, it's all NATO stuff. Well, like not the weapons are, but like the whole like sonar and stuff, that's going to be on.
They can't stay out nearly as long. Can't stay under nearly as long as a nuclear sub.
So then you look
at your only limitation with a nuclear sub is people.
Yeah, well, food,
the humans.
Yeah,
you got to have food, but you're really only limited on how long your humans can live, because those things can stay under a long time.
Exactly. Produces water, like air, everything. But then you look at a country like China, and you see news reports, their navy is so big. There's so much misinformation. And that was the whole reason I went into that spiel about America running through Iraq, because we're not a paper tiger. Like, our equipment does what it says it's supposed to do. If we say we have a stealth fighter, we have a stealth fighter.
We're going to prove it.
Yeah, we don't see it. Yeah. You see, like, the biggest thing was like Russia. They're like, they have these 6th gen, 5th gen stealth fighters. Like, where? I don't see them. That's because they don't exist. You would see like, they have
a prototype.
Well, they would like these big things like, they have these tanks with like Dazzler systems, and they're impervious to javelin missiles, and you have stealth fighters that are like 6th gen. Like, you don't see them. It's all like propaganda.
Now, that Terminator is a pretty cool tank. Have you seen that thing? It's got the like quad guns on it.
Yeah, but again,
quad machine guns.
That's like something you see in a parade. Like, you see,
they're using them in Ukraine. Now they're getting blown up left. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're not invincible,
right?
But it is a pretty impressive weapon. I saw a video of one of the gunners on the Terminator using it. It's like, holy crap! I think it put out some firepower. But one thing I noticed, what people are saying about it, is that it is very inaccurate. The guns heat up real bad. They're not really zeroed well, so it's like kind of more of a spray and pray type of thing. Yeah. But some bitch can put out some straight up firepower, and they're big. I mean, on the battlefield, if you didn't have a way to combat it, it'd be a frightening thing to see. Because, I mean, if you look at them, they're crazy looking.
Yeah, throw some javelins at it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that. Yeah, they can obviously be destroyed. I mean, yeah, redneck with a javelin can probably destroy one.
Watch this.
Yeah. But it is a crazy weapon. I mean, and they are making them.
Well, the big thing that, I was trying to mention is just like, a lot of it is propaganda. A lot of it is they're overstating the effectiveness of what it can do. And that was very pertinent in Russia. And I would say it's going to be the exact same for China, because you see China, oh, they have these new, have you seen their new stealth bomber that looks exactly like our B-2 bomber, but it has like
It's
little,
like AI made it.
but it has like little winglets on it. I'm like,
Yeah.
so it's like literally the same exact thing with winglets.
Yeah.
But you've actually never seen these aircraft. You would think that you would see them around, but you don't.
One thing I can say about America in terms of our military industrial complex, I know I talk a lot of crap about military industrial complex just because of all of the crooked crap that goes on in our government and a lot of the sweetheart deals and backdoor deals and, let's say, insider trading, stock trading, and all the stuff that, we get angry when we hear our politicians engaging in insider trading and coming up with these sweetheart deals and no bid contracts. I mean, yeah, those things piss us off. But at the end of the day, strip all that away and just go down to the military industrial complex as a machine, as an entity, as a business, as whatever you want to call it. We do have some of the best production capabilities. I mean, we can manufacture the most high-tech weaponry, the best, navigation devices and whatever, all the different types of, control, like, what do you call it? Like, the delivery systems and things for getting these bombs to precisely go where we want, like all of those delivery systems and aiming systems and early detection systems and radar and the HUDs. And I mean, these fancy $250,000 helmets that our pilots wear that have the HUD in it and all this crazy stuff that gives them a really good view of the battlefield. I mean,
lets them see through the plane.
Yeah, we have, man, amazing technology. And it's not just, we do a military show and show off some little, concept aircraft or something like that. No, we can produce this stuff in numbers. We can actually manufacture this stuff. And while I don't doubt that China or Russia couldn't make a really awesome one-off, now it's one thing to do a one-off. It's another thing to manufacture that item in numbers effectively and for them to hold up well in a combat theater and have part support and train technicians to work on them. And of course, a whole system to support that aircraft or that tank or that whatever it is, or aircraft carrier. I mean, imagine that an aircraft carrier has to have a machine shop on board just to be able to service its own existence.
Aircraft,
you have a number of engineers that work on that aircraft carrier. If something breaks, they don't just call someone to fix it. They fix it.
Yeah,
they are there. It's like, all right, make the part. All right, we're going to make this part and fix it and replace it. Oh, we're going to weld this. We're going to, plumbing. All right, we have a team of plumbers. It's like, it's a city on the ocean. It has to sustain itself as a city would sustain itself.
And it has
everything a city would have. You got plumbers, you got welders, you got, repairmen, machinists, cooks, trash men, janitors. Think about it. Whatever society has in greater society in your city, as such, does that floating city must have to sustain all the lives on that vessel.
Including the population.
I mean, crazy.
Yes. I think they estimate, they don't release exact numbers due to like OPSEC, but it's estimated to be around 10 to 11,000 people. Could you imagine a floating vessel with 10 to 11,000 people plus armament?
Yeah.
You get out of here, man.
Pilots. I mean, you got pilots. You have to maintain aircraft. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes into running that freaking city on the ocean, man.
Tomahawks, they have jets, they have planes, they
bomb
have
loaders. You have to have so much expertise. Now, do the Chinese and the Russians possess that amount of knowledge and expertise and logistical acumen to be able to go toe to toe with us with that sort of thing, and then do it with 11 of them? No, they can't even come close to building something that magnificent.
I don't even think Russia has an aircraft carrier.
Did they not?
I don't. I think it got the one that they had got like sunk by a drone strike.
Didn't the Ukrainians blow it up?
Yeah, but it wasn't even like a good one.
It's like a flagship type of vessel they had that was like a fighter, or what was it? What they call it? Like a destroyer that they had, like a real nice destroyer vessel. And I think the Ukrainians just flew a drone into it or something.
But their aircraft carrier was supposed to be like, the pride of Russia, and it was like spewing black smoke. It's like old technology, like That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of this stuff from other countries is propaganda. And what I want to say, like America dropping those bunker buster bombs in Iran, how much of that was just like, hey, we can
do this.
Yeah, like we can. Like, and we have the tools and we will use them. Like,
this is what I imagine happening. Now, I don't know if this is what happened, but this is how I imagine it happening, right? Someone from the United States calls the Iranians and says, look, we don't want to kill y'all, but on this day, at this time, we're going to drop a very big damn bomb in this exact place. We know where it is. We know you're making your nuclear goo down there.
Enriched uranium, we're going to
get all the scientists to leave. We don't want to kill anybody. Y'all need to leave. But we're going to blow this up at this time. If you choose to be there, that's up to you, but we suggest y'all leave.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what they did. I think they warned them.
I mean,
I don't think they want to kill anybody. I think they just want to make a point.
Well, you got
like, if we want you, we're going to get you.
Well, they launched.
I don't think anybody died.
I don't think so. I
mean, think they told them to leave. Yeah.
Well, they launched 2 B-2 Spirits, and they flew 24 hours straight all the way. Like, there's plenty of time. They knew. I mean, but to think about that aircraft was not shot down. Like a big old stealth fighter.
Well, it's a stealth fighter. Maybe they didn't see it. Maybe they couldn't detect it on radar.
They absolutely couldn't. But people they're like, oh yeah, that's fake. Like, I don't know, man. They just dropped 16 bombs on you and you didn't do nothing.
I think they warned them.
I would.
I really do. I don't think we wanted to kill a bunch of Iranian scientists. What do we have to benefit from that? The world needs brilliant people that can know how to do that kind of stuff. You don't want to kill those people. Are you kidding me?
Well,
I don't think they're that evil. I think they warned them. I really do.
Operation Paperclip has entered the chat. If you guys don't know what Operation Paperclip is, go look it up.
I really do. I really do think they warned them.
Yeah.
I mean, and how much of that stuff goes on? Like, who really cut the Nord Stream pipeline?
Mm-hmm. I think they found out that was like not inside, but
the Russians. You think? So the Russians cut it just so they could say, "Oh, it was the Ukrainians." So see, it's like the same type of wordplay where they're always just trying to like make the other out to be, bad. And like you mentioned, Operation Paperclip. Basically instigating internal violence in order to change hearts and minds on a given idea. Mm-hmm. I mean, would our own government carry out some type of terrible thing against its own people in order to make everyone think it was someone else? And of course, I'm not going to go there and put my tinfoil hat on. Now, I think everyone has their varying opinions about things like, 9/11 and so on and so forth. I'm not going to dare make a claim of any sort, but it is kind of random to think that your own government is capable of doing very awful things to you in the name of furthering this huge clusterfuck that is, our global policy.
I don't know if it extends.
There's a lot of money changing hands, bro.
Yeah, I don't know if it extends as far as to like what some people feel like 9/11, but I will say that the CIA did, and this is documented, did carry out psychedelic like LSD experiments on innocent men, using prostitutes. That is a documented like operation that they did to see if they could, coerce you to do something under the influence. So no, I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility for our government to do certain things. I think that there just might be some, there might be some distinction.
Oh yeah.
On what level they're prepared to do it.
It's funny you mentioned the psychedelics because that's always been something that's been a huge fascination of mine is psychedelics. And I don't ever really discuss the subject. So I'm glad you brought that up because I think what happened in the 60s is that our government saw that there was all these, war protesters, and let's just say for a better lack of term, the hippie movement, whatever you want to call it, this young culture of people who were anti-war, anti-U.S. foreign policy, and they were all using psychedelics. And I think over time, with enough experimentation and just sort of knowledge of the subject, and as well as just observation of the human condition at the time and where society was going, I think they viewed psychedelics not only as, let's just say, a dangerous weapon, but almost an anti-weapon. Almost a, like, oh, well, when people use these psychedelics, they sort of wake up to the bullcrap, and they reorganize their brains, and the neural pathways are connected in a way that allows them to think in new and different ways that might not be ways that they used to think in. And maybe they view psychedelics as, wow, this is maybe not a weapon. Maybe this is more of a cure to the social condition that we want people to be a part of, but they don't want to be a part of. A counterculture that was so far removed from what our policy really was and what our goals were, that they're like, oh, we have to outlaw this. We cannot allow people to have psychedelics. If psychedelics were a weapon, then they'd let you use them every day, wouldn't they? If psychedelics made you dumb and easy to control and whatever in between, or allowed you to be manipulated by some commander on a battlefield, well, then wouldn't they be using psychedelics for that?
Right.
Wouldn't they allow it to be used? Oh, they'd be putting it in the water. They'd be putting LSD in the water if that were the case. But do you see that happening? No.
It's because they can't tax
it's Title
it.
I, right? It's
make
Title
money
I
off of it.
So it's a Schedule I drug, because I think not because of its danger, but because of its benefits. Yeah. And I will say the VA is offering ketamine injections, and ketamine at higher doses, it is a psychedelic, but it must be administered at a very high dose in order to actually have a psychotropic effect as a psychedelic.
Which also means you're not moving anywhere, because you're going to be laying there.
Oh yeah,
unable to move.
In that moment, you're definitely there for the ride. But they're doing low dose ketamine injections in order to, let's just say, help with depression and PTSD. So the VA is experimenting a little bit with low-level psychedelics in order to treat PTSD and things like that. And it's my hope that maybe eventually, they will be able to use things like the mushrooms and maybe higher injections of ketamine and maybe even DMT and things like that, in order to try and help some of these veterans get through some of their episodes and get through some of their depression and some of their deep-lying demons that have been buried. And I think that these psychedelics are very powerful, and I think they're very useful to society when treated with respect in the way that they deserve to be treated. And that's all I'll say about that. But it's interesting you brought up psychedelics, because I think the CIA, they wanted to weaponize psychedelics. Mm-hmm. And I think they realized there was nothing weapon about it. It was actually like a cure.
Yeah,
a strange cure that they couldn't explain what it was curing. Well, and they were so afraid of it that they had to outlaw it.
I would agree. It didn't have the intended effect.
No, it didn't. And there were a lot of times too in foreign countries where they would just spike people's food and water with LSD just to see what it would have on the population. And I know you probably have seen that YouTube video where the British paratroopers were given LSD.
No.
This old black and white footage. Yeah. So there was like some British paratroopers. I don't know if it might have been maybe the Korean War era in the 50s, something like that. But they gave a bunch of paratroopers before military exercise, they gave them LSD. And of course, they were just laughing and carrying on and goofing around. Like, they didn't care nothing about the mission. They were just laughing, looking at the trees. Like, it made them completely combat ineffective. So, yes, could LSD be used as a weapon to make a unit combat ineffective? Yes, probably so at high enough doses. They proved that with the British paratroopers.
Yeah, man.
But there are other uses that it has too. So there are positive and negatives depending on what the overall intent is. If the intent is to subjugate you and get you to do something crazy, like go attack that village against your own personal well-being, well, you're definitely not going to do that under LSD. You're probably going to wander off and go look at trees or whatever you're going to do, but you're not going to do that.
Go talk to the bush.
Yeah. So, interesting thought process here. I mean, the world police, there are positives and negatives. But the question is, are there more negatives than positives or vice versa? Do you think that there are more positives to us being this world police model? And because America is such a morally centered people, of morally sound people, especially people who are multi-generation military families, right? Been serving a long time. Do you think that America has the fortitude and the moral compass to be that police? And that if there ever were going to be some world police, that we would be the right people for that job? I think that answer, honestly, is yes. If anyone should do it, it should be us. I don't agree with all the stuff we do in terms of foreign policy. I don't agree with the wars all the time. I don't agree with all the bloodshed and violence. But I do understand that as a whole social construct of the world as a stage, that sometimes these things are necessary. And that's hard to come to terms with because I don't like seeing all the wars that we support and things. I hate that. But are we the right people for the job? I think that answer is yes. If it's going to exist, it should be us. I would rather it be us than anybody else.
I agree. I think if you frame it in that manner, if you frame it in the manner of there has to be one, I would say it has to be us. It has to be the freest country on earth. It has to be a country that has an established constitution that follows the rule of law to the point where, you know, we don't just go around black bagging our own citizens and arresting them and throwing them in prison without due process.
Yeah.
Sure, we understand that other countries might not have those laws, but we treat them as though, you know, with enough respect that we don't expect them to do that to their citizens.
I think that generally we don't conduct ourselves as conquerors.
Yes.
And I think that's important too. Like, you know, if we're going to, let's say, preach about our way of life to other people and try to spread our way of life to other people, and if that really is the intention, is to spread our way of life to other people, well, then why could we possibly have any sort of moral high ground if the first thing we're going to do is take you over and make you our subject? And I don't think America does that. I mean, look, after World War II, we picked the Japanese up and dusted them off and like, it's going to be all right. We got you. We helped them rebuild them. It's like, you know, yeah, it was terrible. Yeah, war sucks. Yeah, we gave each other a big black eye. In Japanese culture, the Japanese are not taught about World War II.
No, they're not.
They're given a quick little, okay, some bad stuff happened. We lost. Let's move on.
Yep.
They don't talk about detail World War II. But look, I got a lot of respect for the Japanese. After World War II, they didn't complain. They picked themselves up, dusted themselves off, and they rebuilt. And they have a thriving economy now. So it's like, and yeah, America was partially responsible, of course. We hurt them real bad, but we also, afterwards, we didn't go, all right, well, this island's ours. We didn't take them over, did we?
We could have.
We could have.
Yeah.
We could have easily, while they were down, kicked them while they were down.
Mm-hmm.
Did we do that? No. We respected their culture. We respected their identity. We respected who they were. And we picked them up and dusted them off and said, all right, we'll help you rebuild. It's all right. Don't worry about it. No, all hands are off. Hey, what country would do that? Mm-hmm. Put that shoe on the other foot on another country. If China bombed someone and then went in, what do you think they'd do? Oh, that place is going to be China. It's going to be part of China. If Russia did it, all right, what's Russia doing right now? Taking over Ukraine. You think they're there to protect the identity of the people who live there? No, they want to take the place over.
They want to make Russia like all Russia.
They just want to make Russia bigger. And I don't really get the feeling that that's what our foreign policy is really about. I do feel like we're a nation whereby we may not always get things right, and we may have some slip ups, and yeah, we've done some bad things over the years. But I think overall, our thought process as people, as citizens, though, is that we generally just want to spread our way of life to other people because we always, I know that trope is used all the time. Oh, we fight for freedom. It's not really like that, but I do feel like we could be way worse to people than we are. I think we do generally do the right thing.
Yeah. I mean,
when pressed with the issue, we do the right thing. We didn't want to take over South Korea, right? We didn't want to, let's just move America's borders. No, like South Korea, Korea's Korea, Japan's Japan.
Yep.
We didn't want to take anyone over. We wanted to preserve who they were when it was all over. And I think that's commendable. I mean, I think if anything, I think it proves that we're very morally sound people and we have principles and values that we want other people to have too. And I think that goes to say a lot about who we are as people. Maybe not our government. I don't always trust what our government does, but I think who we are as people is pretty distinctively, pretty honorable, I think, overall.
I would agree.
Yeah, I think so. Well, Look, guys, we are getting on time on today's show. I know we went into a lot of different territory on this one, but I'm really glad that we got to do this episode today, because this is something I know Matt and I have been kind of stewing over and thinking about for quite some time. And I know it sounds like we got a lot of things out that we probably had buried deep for a while. That's good. I'm glad we did that.
Psychedelics, baby.
Yeah. Oh, 100%, 100%. But I really want to thank everybody who has supported LLP. A big thanks to all our sponsors yet again. Check them out. We post every Monday here on Iraq Veteran 8888. If you want to check it out in video form, we are over here every Monday, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The show goes live. Also, you can check us out on Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your favorite podcasts. In audio form, you can download the show. Be sure to go over there and give us a good rating so we show up in the search results a little higher. That would help us out a lot. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and we'll try to get to some of your questions and commentary in a future episode. But thanks so much. We got a lot more on the way, and we'll see you all very soon. Matt, you got anything else for us?
That's it, guys. Thanks for stopping by.
All right. Y'all have a good week, and we'll see you next Monday.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Life, Liberty, and Pursuit. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else podcasts are found. Be sure to leave us a 5-star review. We'd really appreciate that. You can support us over on Ballistic Ink by picking yourself up some merch. And remember, guys, dangerous freedom. Have a good one.